like more relevant, like in the mid-dynasty, mid-kingdom literature. But prior to that, I mean, it's existed for a long time. And this poet was saying that its origin goes back, nobody really knows, how old it is. And he was saying, like, the beginning of time, of course, which is mythological, but it gives you an idea of just how old, the area was. And it was called, like, during the time of Amenhotep III, it was called Nuit, which means the city. And there was like about 1 million people that lived in the area. And at the time, there was like about maybe 4 million that lived in the country. So 1 million people occupied, this particular area. And if you think about, like, for us, if you go anywhere in the States and you say, where are you from? And you say, I'm from the city, you automatically know that you're from New York, because there's only one city. The other thing is the term, the translation of Amen, is also looked at, the hidden, the hidden God or the hidden creator whose name is unknown. That's another translation, for the word Amen. It comes from Amun, Aman. So those who took on that title, that name, Amen, were speaking and feeling a different type of reverence, to the divine in terms of carrying that title, dealing with the creator, the hidden creator whose name is unknown. So the other thing is this whole layout is dealing with, like, the spiritual anatomy of man. There was a man, I think he was German, and he broke down a lot of the structures and correlated them to aspects of our spiritual anatomy, of human anatomy, and it was called the Temple of Man. And his name was Chandler de Lubitz, and he basically said that the whole layout was dealing with the spiritual dynamics and the dynamics of spiritual evolution as it relates to consciousness in human beings. And Yirser may want to talk a little bit about that. I know he's got, some info on Chandler.
Oh, well, I mean, I can't add that much to it, except that when you read Temple of Man, he has a diagram of the temple, and he has a diagram of the human body, and different places within the temple correspond to the different, like, what within the spiritual anatomy, like where your chakras are, but all your chakras correspond to different certain key glandular systems in your body. And so he shows in a diagram form how the different parts of the temple correlates to those different aspects of your physical and your spiritual anatomy, and that certain rituals or certain educational processes was taking place at those parts of the temple that correlated to certain those different areas of the body.
Do you know which points of the temple? Are you familiar with the different points that correspond to the different chakra points?
It'd be hard for me to say, like, look at the building itself, and if I wish I had
there's a diagram. There's a diagram with that breaks down.
Yeah,
depending on the body.
I mean, I don't have it. I don't have to say, but come here.
Yeah, it shows you the skeleton that's laid out inside the temple.
And also, I know many of you are familiar with Queen Tai, and she reigned with Amenhotep III. So
as I mentioned for you before, that the temple mainly was built by two main kings. This part in front was built by Ramses II. This until the two stages inside. The next part was built by Amenhotep III, the grandfather of King Tutankhamun. So Amenhotep III built the first part inside. We have to see something that any temple was built from inside to outside. So they start inside and maybe sometimes they used to enlarge outside. Any temple like Edfu, Kwambo, Philae, Dandara, all these temples, here is the same idea. was the Avenue of Sphinx statue. This was built later, 30th dynasty, around 350 before Christ. There were two obelisks, one here, one in the other side, but unfortunately the Egyptian king, Muhammad Ali, the founder of the royal family, the modern royal family in Egypt, in 1835, he gave the obelisk which is standing here to Paris, to France, and this as a gift, standing in plastic in part in Paris. So it was carried from here. By the way, I see that if building the pyramid is a miracle, erecting an obelisk is another great miracle. You see, this one piece of stone could be somehow around 300 tons. 300. We explained how to make it cut, and this is the idea how to carry it by the river Nile. Boat like this one, and the large boat supported by small boats around. Like Hatshepsut recorded about carrying two obelisks, she said that there were a big boat for the obelisk, and then all around there were 9 boats, small boats to the left side, 9 small boats to the right, and 9 in front. How to make it erecting? Nobody know until now. But many of the scholars believe that the Egyptians used to make 2 mountains of sand, two small hill of sand, and bring the obelisk up like this way, and under. So this is the base of the obelisk. You used to take the sand out and then draw the obelisk more and more, make this higher, this mountain higher, and try to make it pushing more and more until it will be on the base. Try to imagine this, to erect it with a very same angle base. If the angle is not correct, any earthquake it will be destroyed. Out of around 30 large obelisks in Egypt, we have very few of them still standing in Egypt, around 7. Unfortunately, many of them were taken long time ago during Roman time. To Rome, for example, we have one of the Hotep Street. We have 2 in London and several in England. We have 1 in New York, 1 in Paris, 1 in Istanbul, 1 in Berlin. So this is like a very great part of the civilization, which is supposed to have this part which has like more or less some inscription like commemorating the king. In the pylon we have the War of Kaddish. Remember the War of Kaddish we talked about? Hittites. And here camping for, here to your right camping for the army, and here during the fighting killing his enemies. Don't mind, just I'd like to show you some more stuff, but here you see the mosque to your left hand side. This mosque is 800 years old, and we can imagine the level of the temple 800 years ago. It was this level. So the Muslim never built up, but they built in the same level. Look here for the picture, 150 years old. The temple was half covered by sand. Okay. So this mosque, when the place here was covered by sand, this is mostly the Muslim built this one with, or the most holy people for the Muslim here in the city called Abu al-Hajjaj. And the Abu al-Hajjaj, we could wonder that if the Muslim once a year in the birthday of Abu al-Hajjaj are doing the same celebration used to be done for Amun-Ra in the ancient time, because they used to bring the statue of Karnak temple coming to the river Nile. From the river Nile you can imagine the celebration coming by the boats, then coming over here that Amun-Ra will visit the harem one street. Same celebration done by the Muslim nowadays for the birthday of the Abu al-Hajjaj.